Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Live from iRacing's virtual twin ring Motegi, welcome sim racing fans to the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship live on Apex Racing TV. We're happy that you're all able to join us here for round number 6 of the championship here from virtual Japan. I'm your host Joshua Lee. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Andy Thompson with Samuel Kumo down in the virtual production trailer. Andy, we come to a bit of a wild card on the calendar. Not used to seeing Twin Ring Motegi really used a lot in the iRacing service when it comes to official series or world championships, but we're here in the Porsches for the Apex Racing Academy Championship. This is going to be an interesting one because it's really unlike any of the circuits we have seen so far this season. I mean, you can draw comparisons here and there, but the general layout and the general way this circuit races is fairly unique.
Yeah, definitely it is. I mean, the thing with this circuit is it looks on paper to be a relatively easy circuit. You've got long straights and then fast flowing bends, but there's a lot of time to be lost on these corners if you miss an apex or get the corner wrong and miss your braking zone. So, you know, there's a lot of time to be gained, but also a lot of time to be lost by coming into the corners either too hard or missing the apex on it. And it's going to add for some interesting racing. I mean, my only experience around this track was driving the LMP1, so it pretty much went past in a blur, and I think that's probably my only experience here at Twin Ring Motegi, but really looking forward tonight, and it should be interesting.
And taking a look at the points championships as we continue to go into the latter half of this season. At the front of the AM Championship, Thiago Martal still with a comfortable lead, 27 points over Dennis Meisner, who currently sits in second. Daniel Porter, Yana Kainet, and Ross Dunst in the top 5. Porter has an opportunity to overtake Meisner here tonight, and both of them have an opportunity to overtake the 222, who's currently at the front of that AM Championship. Pro Championship looks a little bit different. It has been Bo Albert's season so far in that Pro Championship. He leads by a comfortable margin of about 64 points over P2. Jovigard Gotterstad sitting in second. Roger Christiansen with Luke McCowan and Thomas Wangen, the top 5. And you can see 3 Fox Gaming drivers in the top 5 to 2 Logitech G Altus Esports machines. So Fox Gaming also leads the team championship, with Altus trying to catch up. But Altus eventually, of course, Andy, winning the Pro Championship at the moment with Bo Albert, who has been on fire this season with 3 wins. And when he hasn't been winning, he's been finishing in the top 3.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the Logitech G Altus Esports guys are just tag teaming it. It's either one or the other that seems to win the race. And but Bo Albert at the moment is commanding this championship. We've seen him in the last race in Road America literally start from the pit and managing to get the car up into the reverse grid pole position. So I think he started that race in 3rd. So, even when he gets a pit lane start, the guy seems to be able to pull out a lot of points. And his main rivals in Road America, who had a chance to capitalize on his pit lane start, also sort of fell by the wayside and had big issues in Road America that first race, and even some of them didn't even get on the reverse grid pole. So it's going to be interesting, but I don't think anything at the moment can go past Bo Albert. But in the AM Championship, it's certainly heating up a bit. Dennis Meisner had a really good Road America out in up in the top 3 of the AMs in both of them races, which obviously has catapulted him into second in the championship. Our early leader is now in 3rd place, Daniel Porter, and he's not that far off. So very interesting in the amateurs, a little bit closer than the pros at the moment, but I'm pretty sure that this race will throw up some surprises, I'm sure.
And already a little bit of a surprise as we go through qualifying. Roger Christiansen to the top of the board. Luke McCowan, pretty comfortable place for him. P2 currently on the timing sheet, but take a look. Thiago Martal up in P3 at the moment, the highest of the AM drivers. You have to go back to 10th with Tom Bingham to find the 2nd place AM driver when it comes to that class. As we take a look at Roger Christiansen on board with him off of turn number 10. And racing down the straightaway towards turn 11. Very short complex here, turn 11. They go back under what is turns 1 and 2 for the oval. And there is the bridge there of the oval track that goes around the Twin Ring Motegi road course. And there they go through turns 12, 13, and 14. That spits right back to the front straightaway. Will Christiansen be able to improve on that lap time? We will find out, and it doesn't look like it is going to be an improvement. 154.13. He's going to stay at the top of the board, but not going to be able to improve on that lap time that is there. Andy, a handful of pit lane starts for this round here in the first race of the night and the second race as Bo Albert goes right to the top of the board. First driver in the 150s. Those pit road penalties we're going to have to take a look at, and which of those drivers do you think is the driver that is going to be hurt the most by those pit lane starts? Because we do have a good amount of them coming off of last round at Road America.
Yeah, we've got Adam Starzinski, Gordon Oberman, Thomas Wangen. Obviously, Thomas is normally the one that we see towards the front of the front half of the field, so I think he's going to be the one that feels the pain the most from that pit lane start. And then we've got Gordon Oberman in race 2 starting from the pit. So Thomas Wangen seems to be the one, but we've got one notable absentee in the rostrum, which is Matthias Berg. Had an excellent outing in Road America, and unfortunately is missing this one. So he was sort of the sandwich in between the Lotus G Altus Esports guys and the Fox Gaming at the top of the grid. So quite surprised we're not seeing Matthias in this round.
50 seconds remaining here in qualifying. Ergis Jomontes trying to improve on his time. He has been one of the up and down drivers of the season. Definitely has had speed. Doesn't really have the finishes to show for it, unfortunately. 10th in the points currently and has not gotten a podium, but a best finish in round number 5. So we'll see what he can do here from Virtual Twin Ring Motegi here in round number 6. He backs it down. It's not going to be, it is an improvement. 152 flat now for Jomontes, but he's going to stay P12, P10 in class. As we look at Nikolay Polyakov and Luke McCowan going to join his Logitech GLTC Sports teammate as being the only 2 drivers to go into the 150s here in qualifying. Christiansen only able to do a 151.073. Top 2, both Altus drivers, both in the 1 minute 50 second range. Getting ready for the first 25-minute race of the day. Bo Albert starts on the pole with Luke McCowan to his outside. Roger Christiansen, Thiago Martau, and Scott Mokes the top 5. Jovigard Gotterstad, Kim Strom, Lewis Ward, Max Kessler, and Mikey Pollard the top 10, with Daniel Porter and Ergis Jomontes rounding out the top 12. Nikolay Forza-Lippi in P13, Nikolay Polyakov P14. Tom Bingham will start on P15 with James Parker, Craig Jones, Martin Spalek, Marcel Fritsch, and Oliver Holtzke rounding out the top 20. Ross Dunstan, Kevin Stringer, Henning Stuhlinger, and Dave Chadwick the top 24. Back from there, it's Austin Neal, Damian Harris, Gordon Oberman, Adam Starzinski, Thomas Vongen, and Cesar Cabral. The 30 drivers ready to go racing here in race number 1. We have even races tonight, 25 minutes for race 1 and 25 minutes for race 2. But the difference is, in race 2, we will invert the top 15 finishers from race number 1 and send them down into turn number 1 that way. So watch for P15. That will be the inverse grid pole position, as it is a relatively cool day here in Motegi. 83 degrees Fahrenheit on the track, 75-degree air temp. So these drivers going to have a little bit of help in the grip department, but we know that these Porsches are still rather unpredictable when it comes to how they will handle on the racetrack, and relatively unpredictable as well this racetrack here for Twin Ring Motegi. A lot of unknowns and a lot of changing could happen at the top of the points championships for both Pro and Am. Only time will tell what we are going to see this afternoon, but we are getting ready to send these drivers down into turn number 1. Gridding is up, revs come up, and it is time to go racing here from Virtual Motegi. Just as quickly as the lights come up, they go out, and we are underway. Bo Albert with a good start, but even better start from Roger Christiansen. He's already going to take over P2. McCowan back to P3. Through turn 1, battle for the lead. Give it to Roger Christiansen. What a dynamite start for the Fox Gaming 171. He's up into the lead. Here comes the challenge from Bo Albert, trying to look around the outside in turn 2.
Yeah, definitely a great start there from Roger Christensen, coming up from 3rd place, getting a really good start, but going really wide into turn 3. Absolutely. Oh, and got Scott Mokes there, spun it as well, so that's going to obviously push Roger out further, and he's gone from the fight for the 1st place all the way down to the back of the field there, so an absolute terrible turn 3 there for Roger Christensen.
How quickly disaster can strike here in the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. From battling for the lead down into P25, Roger Christiansen with a dynamite start, and now is going to be fighting to try and get up inside the inverse grid positions, as it looks like Lippi going down the order, possibly having an issue closer to the back of the field. Bo Albert going to get pushed a little bit wide. Here comes the battle for the lead. Luke McCowan, teammates at Logitech GLTC Esports, going to look to the outside. Bo Albert going to cover off that spot as the field works their way through the hairpin for the first time here in race number 1. Kim Strom now for Fox Gaming, taking over that 3rd spot. Back from there, Thiago Martau, Lewis Ward the top 5 as they race down the hill into turn 11. Everybody gonna single file out and get into the draft train. Who's gonna be the first driver to step out, try and make a move? They start to spread out. There's another Fox Gaming driver, Jovigar Gotterstad, trying to get around Daniel Porter for P7 on the racetrack.
Yeah, great start there for Daniel Porter, up 4 places, second place in the AM Championship, so giving his championship a real good contention tonight going into this race into P7. But Joe Gadestad is actually just trying to get up on the inside into turn 1, pushing Daniel out a little bit wide there into turn 1 and 2, so Joe should be able to get this move done as he has, but Daniel Porter now coming up onto the inside. He's going to be a little bit offline coming into this turn number 3, so he just needs to make sure that he cuts that speed to be able to do it, and he manages to keep that 7th place. But Jovia Godestad in 8th place is all over to the back of him. Oh, and a big incident at the back with Nikolai Polkov, and I'm not sure who the other driver was. Tom Bingham, I think it was.
Fred Jones in it as well. That was close to being a parking lot there in turn 3. They get it settled out. Looked like it went from a 2-car incident to a 3-car incident, and that, unfortunately, that is where it stayed as a 3-car incident there. Already seeing that turn 2, turn 3 concourse really catching a lot of drivers off guard. Of course, that is where Roger Christiansen went off track in the battle for the lead on lap number 1 of this race. Taking a look at Cesar Cabral, P14 right now. Up in 16 spots where he started. He started tail end of the field with a pit lane start, Andy. What a race for Cesar Cabral. 2 laps, even a lap and a half. Already up 16 spots, showing some speed in that 170 tonight.
Yeah, definitely on fire, up 16 places. I mean, that's just amazing. Certainly starting from the pit, so you're going to be already off the back of the field going into the first corner. So, you know, had an outstanding first couple of laps to get himself up to P14 at 16 places. There's been some big movers and shakers in here. Ross Dunson up 9, Kevin Stringer up 9 places, and Kim Strom at the moment at the front of the grid in 3rd place has had a storm in, up 4 places from where he started. So Kim Strom having a really good outing here, the top of the Fox Gaming team in P number 3. But we got the 2 usual suspects at the front, Bo Albert and Luke McCowan, the Logitech GL to C-Sport guys, you know, just trying to pull away, working together as a team over the Fox Gaming who are bound. But Martinu at the moment is doing an outstanding sterling job for the AMs and just managing to lose that 1 place, 4th. But managing to secure and hold that 4th place at the moment. But Roger Christensen, as we're watching on stream, managing to work his way back up. So just 1 more to get back into that reverse grid positioning, but an absolute terrible spot. He's getting a little bit squeezed here, coming down into turn number 5 there from Sturtlinger in front of him, just getting on the inside, so should get this move done coming into turn number 6 as he does. So now he is now in reverse grid pole in P15, but I'm pretty sure his day is not done and should be able to gain some more places. Another one behind him, Scott Mokes as well, who was involved in an incident earlier on, is just trying to fight his way back up to try and get in to that reverse grid positions there at the moment. But them two pretty much on fire at the moment and moving up the field quite nicely, but there's a lot of cars around them and they just need to make sure they keep it clean to keep their incidents down to be able to get into that reverse grid positions.
As they run currently, you mentioned Christiansen now being up above that inverse grid pole, and I think he's going to try and go for at least a little bit more here just to help the points coming out of race number 1 and just to help that confidence to know that he has the speed in that Fox Gaming number 171. One of the competitors in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup Contender Series, as we take a look at the battle for the lead, just swapped hands. Luke McCowan to the front, Bo Albert to 2nd place. These Altas guys got to watch out for Kim Strom, who currently sits in P3, the next driver that can take advantage if the battle for the lead turns south. But Luke McCowan now to the front, and last time by was a little bit slower than Bo Albert, but only by about 100th of a second. He was able to make that up with the slipstream on the front straightaway. Takes the lead down into turn number 1. So a good start for McCowan. As we take a look at a replay, here is how that battle for the lead went over to Luke McCowan. Down the front straightaway, good bit of slipstream. Albert goes to try and defend that spot, but to the outside goes McCowan. looked like a bit of a swap there, Andy. I'm not sure if Bo Albert let off the throttle at all there, but it did look like a bit of a swap for positions. Not really a McCowan overtake on Bo Albert.
Yeah, certainly looked that way coming down that. Obviously a little bit of team tactics coming into play here on that. They may have just mixed the fuel up if they decided that they're going to both be at the front of the grid and they could take positions in that first. So if they did do that, that's very ambitious, and looking at them doing that, that'd be good. But they've got to watch out from Kim Strom in third place at the moment, the fastest guy on track, only by a very small amount, but has certainly proved that he's got the speed, and all he needs to do is just try and catch on to the back of these two in front of him, and certainly make it a 3-horse race then. At the moment it's the two Logitech GL2C Esports guys, Luke McCowan and Bo Albert out the front, but the Strom and even Martinu, who's following on quite nicely behind Kim Strom, is there. So the guys are not normally out. Oliver Hopke, he's getting out of the way of the front runners, it looked like there, but a very strange place to stop to let the guys through, I think.
Yeah, he goes one lap down now, and he did just go one lap down as the leaders went on by. So looked like just being a little bit cordial, going off to the side, letting the leaders race on as we take a look at the battle for 6th currently. Max Kessler for Impulse Racing versus Jovigard Gotterstad, another one of the drivers out of the Fox Gaming stable, as they race into turn number 4. They'll go under the bridge. That is the back straightaway, heading into turn 3 for the oval here at Motegi. And they will race down into turns 5 and 6, or turn 7 and 8, excuse me, now that they are heading through. And Gotterstad able to get close to Max Kessler, not able to complete a move, but it looks like he's thinking about it, just cannot get close enough to do so. Gotterstad's in an interesting position right now, Andy, because he's sort of halfway in between the top spot and the inverse poles, so it becomes a challenge that, does he want to go further up and gain more positions, or does he kind of want to ride where he is and kind of have a better race 2 than race 1 and use that inverse to his advantage? It looks like Gotterstad wants to gain a little bit more spots here in race number 1, as it looks like he wanted to go for a dive, could not get there by the time they committed to the corner, and Kessler is going to hold on to that 6th spot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen in the previous rounds, the guys at the front, I mean, we've obviously with the exception of Albert, but, you know, the normal guys like Luke McCowan has run, he won one of the rounds before, got a reverse grid, I think it was the last round, and pretty much had an absolute terrible second race. So, you know, the guys at the front in the first race will be in the reverse grid from P15 upwards. So, you know, in the midfield pack, and we know that the guys can have a lot of issues through there. Certainly if they've got a lot of drivers, as we watched Jovigard Gotterstad managing to get around Kessler around turn number 3 and 4. A great move there from Joe. That's a very tight corner to get it on, but he managed to get it done over Kessler, who is now in 7th place. So Joe Gotterstad there moving up to 6th place. But yeah, it's an interesting one when you look at the reverse grids. You know, when you've got the AM drivers in front of the pro drivers, sometimes that can cause issues because the pro drivers are really trying to push on, and obviously the AM drivers are not braking in the same places as the pros. And we saw some issues in Road America where the pros were going into the back of the AM drivers and causing chaos, ruining their race, and not scoring many points. So it's always that one. Oh, as Joe Gotterstad takes it a little bit too wide and spins the car around turn number, I think that's turn number 4. We'll just watch on here and see what happened coming up. Matt's just behind him there. He's probably taking a little bit. Did you hit the grass? Oh, no.
Oh, no, contact. Oh. Round Kessler, and then contact. That's going into turn number 9. It was just a little bit of contact with Kessler. It looks like Kessler might have missed the braking zone, and then Kessler getting passed by Daniel Porter on the inside. So Porter moves up at another spot, and Kessler back to P7. Gotterstad, unfortunately, now going to have to fight from P9. It looks like his hand is going to change over to maybe trying to get in that inverse grid pole position as we go towards halfway done. Currently in that pole position spot for the inverse is Henning Stuhlinger, as Cabral and Fritsch fight for that spot behind him. As you can see, Caesar Cabral there in 16th, and Stringer and Frisch going to continue to battle side by side down the front straightaway. Marcel Stringer trying to get around, or sorry, Kevin Stringer trying to get around Marcel Frisch. They go down into turn number 1, inside advantage for Frisch, and he is going to grab that spot right on back. Stringer going to fall to P18. Frisch now in P17. What are they going to do as they go into 2? Here comes the challenge from Stringer to the inside. They'll take that spot, maybe a little bit of contact, and Stringer going to go right back to P18, and right back to P17 goes Frisch. What a battle we're seeing there for P17 on the racetrack, and a battle starting to develop further up for P4, Martel versus Ward.
Yeah, definitely. The good thing up at the front is you've got Martinu in 4th, you've got Ward in 5th, and you've actually got Porter. He doesn't seem to be doing a lot, Daniel Porter, but he's certainly profiting from the guys in front at the spins that they've had and managed to get himself up to 6th place, so up 5 places from where he started in P11, and currently up to 6th place, so a great outing for the AMs at the moment in the mix, very much with all the pros, but certainly doing a good sterling job there as Martinu in 4th place, just keeping Ward at bay and pressurising a little bit Kim Strom in front, who's sort of dropped off now a little bit more of the 2 Logitech GL to Esports guys, Luke McCarron and Bo Albert in front, so certainly looks like these 3 are the race for their final podium position here tonight in race number 1.
And you can see those 2 Altus guys still at the front of this field. McCowan and Albert command the way here in race number 1. Kim Strom sits in P3 about in front of this battle with Martel and Ward. And they have caught Kim Strom, adding them into this mix for P3. See what happens. They go into turn 2. Nobody going to make any moves just yet. Remember that inverse spot being P15. All of them are going to be starting closer to the mid-pack in race number 2. Keep that in mind. Remember what we have seen from the inverse grids before. We've seen drivers fall victim to the inverse grid. We have seen drivers use it as an advantage, and we have seen drivers drive from P25 or less on the grid up into P2 as an issue for Daniel Porter. Looks like he gets pushed way out wide through turn 4. Now having a door-to-door battle with Mikey Pollard as Max Kessler goes right on by. Still side by side, but Porter sends it to the inside through turn 7 and 8, and he gets that 7th spot back. Mikey Pollard, who had the challenge in the 173, falls to P8, can't make any moves done through turn 9. He's got to settle for P8 for the moment, but Porter goes wide, gets a little bit loose getting into the grass, and put Pollard now up into P7 on the racetrack.
Yeah, that was like sort of 3 corners there. He had mistakes on 2 of them and let Ward and Kessler and Pollard through there, and obviously lost 2 places down into P8. So 2 slight little mistakes has let himself drop down to P8. Still a good outing, and his nearest rival in the amateurs is all the way down into P14. So Martinu and Porter at the moment doing an exceptional job and keeping out in the front of the AM Championship, and miles ahead of the next nearest amateur driver, Justine. So, you know, doing a really good job, mixing it very strongly there with the pros. But that battle there for 3rd place is starting to heat up between Strom, Martinu and Ward. These 3 guys not really close enough yet to make some challenging moves, but certainly close enough to capitalize on any tiny mistake from one of the 3 of these drivers, or certainly from Strom or Martinu. Ward just ready there to pounce just in case it is. And the normal corners for the issues, as we've seen in this race, it turns 3 and 4, and turn number 5, we've seen quite a few incidents on tonight's race. As you see Strom there getting a little bit sideways coming out of turn number 5, which is always a tight one on this track. It looks like it's a nice flowing bend, but it's actually quite deceiving on the track is turn number 5. But these 3 managing to keep up with each other, and I think it's only going to be a matter of time before we get into the last 5 minutes there, Josh, that we're going to start seeing some moves from Martinu and Ward to try and get up and get that last pole position, 3rd place podium spot.
Of course, each position means more points, especially here in race number 1, because for everybody in this top 15, talk about it each week, that inverse grid being top 15 here at Virtual Twin Ring Motegi. Any driver who can get as many points out of this race as possible is going to be in a better spot for race 2, especially if they're a part of that inverse, starting more mid-pack than at the front like they are used to. Battle for P6 is still on, and it is now 3 cars strong with Kessler, Pollard, and Porter. Porter sits tail end of this battle as they race on through the final 2 corners of this racetrack. Out of turn 14 to the front straightaway they go. What can Pollard do to try and get around Max Kessler down the front straightaway? Any swap of position doesn't look like it's going to happen. They're spreading back out as they work their way through 1. Turns 2 and 3 coming up. Will they try and do anything here as we swap over to Mikey Pollard? 2nd place in this battle, 7th place overall on the racetrack currently. A little wide goes Kessler, but not too much. He stays within the track limits and is going to stay within P6, but Porter goes wide in turn 2. Another driver caught off by tricky turns 2 and 3 here at Motegi. Takes a trip through the sand and goes down into P13.
Yeah, we were just talking about that corner being a treacherous one, and Daniel Porter there doing exactly what we expect cars to do when they do come off there, going out really wide, and was in the battle for this 6 places between Mikey Pollard here, making an excellent move on Kessler, managing to get it done there. So great move there from Mikey Pollard. I think the guy does deserve some luck. He's had some terrible luck in the previous rounds, but going out quite way. And Joe Godlestad just capitalising on Max Kessler, pushed out wide there into turn number 9 and managing to sneak that one off in there. So Godestad moving up slightly back into 7th place from obviously having that spin earlier on in the race. But one person who's not really making massive inroads is Alan Christensen, who's currently down in P10 at the moment, struggling to get up to the into the top 10. But we'll put him on 5th in there as we watch Mikey Pollard. No, going a bit wide there, coming down on the end, so he's over braked it a bit, and he's just tumbling down the positions now as we see him down in 10th place, which promotes Alan Christensen up to 9th place.
Even better for Christensen, and that was going through turn 11 that we saw the sand trip for Mikey Pollard. Not sure he wanted a trip to the beach that quickly here. He's still in the middle of a race, but 6 minutes to go here in race number 1 as Pollard races on from P10. This changes a little bit of the spots in that top 10, but doesn't change from 11th to 15th as Stuhlinger continues to hold that inverse grid. Battle for 3rd, Strom, Martial, and Ward. Martial getting close to trying to get around Kim Strom. He has been the star of the AM class, especially as of late, as he currently sits top of the AM point standings and top of the AM leaderboard right now. 2nd place in the AM class. You have to go all the way down to Daniel Porter to find 2nd place. Dunstan, Stuhlinger, and Stringer the top 5 for the AM class. As they continue to race on, what a day for the 222 as he races P4 in between a ton of pro class drivers and holding his own here at the front of the field as well. Lewis Ward not able to find any way by him, but Martial not able to find any way past Kim Strom as we go inside 5 minutes left.
Yeah, sort of neutralising the positions, these 3 drivers. But Martinu is a very consistent driver. I think as long as he gets past that first lap, he normally puts in consistent lap times. And as we can see him on screen at the moment, putting a lot of pressure on the pro drivers around him, especially Kim Strom in front of him there in P number 3 as we join the battle here for P16 with Marcel Fritsch. Trying to get past Thomas Wangen, trying to get past Marcel Fritsch, but these 2 guys at the moment are just outside that reverse grid place, so would start race 2 in P16 and 17. So they need to be more working together to try and get up on Stuttlunger. But what is interesting as well, as you see Kevin Stringer taking it very wide coming down into turn number 11, obviously overextending his braking zone there, and unfortunately going to the beach to see the sea. So pretty terrible there for so as we join the battle back here for Fritsch and Wong. These 2 at the moment, Josh, are battling out, and they shouldn't really be. They should be working together to try and get up onto Stuttlunger, and at the moment they're just giving Stuttlunger that 15th place because they're fighting it out.
Fritsch is not close enough to make a move on Stollinger, but you might notice the similar paint schemes or exact same paint scheme. Teammates, Stollinger and Fritsch at WS Racing Esports Red. Wouldn't be shocked if we see maybe a swap between those two, but at the same time, I do think they want both of their drivers inside of that inverse grid, so they might try and get both of them up there, but Stollinger not close enough to Dunstan to really make any move just yet, and we'll see if Fritsch catches up. We're going to find out if Stollinger is going to be providing a challenge, as the challenge is going to come from Vongen. What a move to the inside. He goes right on by Fritsch. A perfect diving pass in turn 9. Put Vongen up in a P16. Now the Fox Gaming 116 is going to try and go fight up with Henning Stollinger for the transfer, or for the inverse grade pole.
Yeah, certainly caught him napping there coming into turn number 9. Just took that inside line, and unfortunately, Fritsch had to just yield and move out a little bit wide. So a great move there from Wangen to move himself up to P16. So in between the teammates at the moment, so may put pays to their plan of trying to get the two of them into the reverse grid. Wangen seems to be the man on the mission that could actually catch Stollinger and push both teammates down out of the reverse grid positions. But what is interesting, if it stays as it is, Josh, is you're going to have 3 amateurs on the front of the grid, which will obviously put all the pro drivers behind them. They just need to be aware that, you know, they're not going to be as fast as them pro drivers, and that's where we see the incidents when we do have the amateur drivers in front of the pro drivers on the reverse grid.
Believe we will be white flag this time by. I don't believe last time by the white flag was taken, so we'll take the white flag this time by, as it'll be roughly about a minute left here in the race. So we'll have a 14 lap race 1 and a 14 lap race 2 according to the time that it takes to complete. At the front, Luke McCowan able to get by his teammate Bo Albert, and we were wondering why the swap was made. It did seem like a swap. It did not seem like a overtake for the lead from McCowan, just the way that Bo Albert moved over to the side, and very quickly McCowan was able to get by. So wondering exactly why they did that. Original theory was fuel saving, but you can see the gap now, Andy, has grown a considerable margin, and pretty much every lap Luke McCowan has been faster than Bo Albert. Maybe Albert's trying a bit more of aggressive fuel save, but could also have been, as we take the white flag here in race number 1, could also have been that McCowan was faster and Bo Albert didn't want to hold him up. If you can go and run away at the lead, by all means go do it, especially as teammates. You don't want to hold up your teammate.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was possibly what it was, because I think Luke McCowan was above Bo Albert in the practice round, so showed that he certainly had the pace. So Bo Albert doing the team lead thing and letting the faster driver through. But what it is good for the Logitech Geodesys Esports guys is they're going to have a 1-2 position going into race number 2. And this will obviously give them a lot of points into that points championship, because Fox Gaming at the moment are running away with it, and maybe they're just thinking, do you know what, let's try and get a 1-2 here to close the gap a little bit on the Fox Gaming, because the Fox Gaming guys are not doing the usual stream of cars here. We've got Kim Strom in 3rd for Fox Gaming, and then the next one for Fox Gaming is in 6th place, Joe Godestad. So, you know, not their usual points haul in the rounds that we see, so it will be getting the points back from them.
And Tom Bingham into the pit lane. I believe this is before he takes the white flag. Yes, it is. What is the issue for the Performance Link Esports machine? He is already, I believe, was already close to 1 lap down. He had an incident earlier on in this race, 24. All the Performance Link Esports drivers are in the pits. Did they get the fuel wrong? Bingham was in. Dave Chadwick was in before Bingham. Chadwick's now on the exit of the pit lane. But on the last lap of race number 1, they all come into the pit lane for Performance Link Esports, but the Logitech Geodesys Esports machines at the front of the field. Coming across the line, Luke McCowan is going to walk away with the win here in race number 1. Bo Albert, 2nd place. Drag race coming to the line. Kim Strom's going to walk away with 3rd. Kio Tiago Marcial in 4th. And Lewis Ward, top 5 at the end of race number 1. Everybody work their way across the line, and off track goes Dunstan. And guess what that does? Moves Stullinger up in a P14, second place on the inverse, and Thomas Vongin for Fox Gaming ends up P15 at the inverse grid pole position.
Yeah, they nearly had that WS Racing Esports red with nearly first and second on the grid, which is obviously what we were talking about earlier. But obviously Thomas Wangen spoiling the party there, getting in between the two cars. So bit of unfortunate there from Dunstan, but obviously profiting was Thomas Wangen there, getting reverse grid pole for the second race. But the two Logitech G Altus Esports guys, as we come to see in this championship, you know, imperious at the front of the grid, just pulling away from the rest of them and leaving them in their dust. And there's nobody that could really touch them. The two of the drivers were quite close together, but then the next battle was for Kim Strom, Martineau and Ward. So it was a battle for third place really, with the two guys out front.
Well, as we conclude heat number 1, or the first race of the night here at Virtual Twin Ring Motegi, Luke McCowan able to walk away with the win. An inverse grade pole position will be the number 15 or 15th position, 116 machine of Thomas Vongin for Fox Gaming. Ready to take a look at the full race results. The full field makes their way across the start-finish line, and we transition over into the 5-minute warm-up before the final race of the night. And it's Luke McCowan who walks away with the win in race number 1. Bo Albert second place, Kim Strom, Keo Tiago Martzau, and Lewis Ward the top 5. Jovigard Gotterstad, Max Kessler, Roger Christiansen, Erigis Jomontes, and Mikey Pollard the top 10. James Parker, Scott Mokes, Daniel Porter, Henning Stullinger, and Thomas Vongin going to be starting on that inverse grid pole position, with Marcel Fritsch, Ross Dunstan, Adam Starzinski, Cesar Cabral, and Gordon Oberman, the top 20. Kevin Stringer, Austin Neal, Damian Harris, Nikolay Polyakov, Martin Spalek, the top 25, with Dave Chadwick, Tom Bingham, Craig Jones, Nikolay Forza Lippi, and Oliver Holtzke, the 30 drivers who took the green flag in race number 1. We're in the warm-up for race number 2, and the full 25-minute race is coming up right after this short break here on Apex Racing TV. You're tuning in to the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship, round number 7 from Virtual Motegi.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. It is round number 6 here from Virtual Twin Ring Motegi. Joshua Lee back with you here in the broadcast booth. Andy Thompson alongside me with Samuli Kumo down in the virtual production trailer and getting ready for race number 2, Andy. And a lot of interesting things definitely happened there in race number 1. We saw a bit of chaotic racing at the beginning of the race number 1 and expecting a little bit of the same here in race 2.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be interesting to see with Luke McCowan. You know, we normally see him in that first, second place, and then he gets onto the reverse grid, and all of a sudden we see him tumbling down the timing tower. So it'd be interesting to see how he approaches this second race, if he's going to be a lot cautious just to try and keep himself in the race and then come out. But what we did see in that first race is turn number 3 and 4 and turn 5 and 11 were the corners that were catching the drivers out. We lost a lot of guys lost the positions for overextending themselves into them corners and going out onto the sand on the outside of the track. So it'd be interesting to see if they've learned from their mistakes in the first race and see if they take it a little bit easier. But it seems to be the corners that are catching the drivers out on this track.
Just like that, warm-up is over and done. And it's time to take a look at the starting grid here for race number 2 of the night here from Virtual Twin Ring Motegi as we continue with the 6th round of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. Thomas Vongin able to take advantage of the inverse grid pole position. Henning Stuhlinger will start to his outside. Daniel Porter, Scott Mokes, and James Parker the top 5. Mikey Pollard, ARA Joe Montes, Roger Christiansen, Max Kessler, and Jovigard Gotterstad rounding out your top 10. Lewis Ward, Thiago Bartal the top 12. Down from there, Kim Strom starts P13, Bo Albert P14 with Luke McCowan rounding out your top 15. Marcel Fritsch, Ross Dunstan, Adam Starzinski, Cesar Cabral, and Gordon Oberman, the top 20. Kevin Stringer, Austin Neal, Damian Harris, Nikolay Polyakov, top 24. And rounding out the field is Martin Spalek, Dave Chadwick, Tom Bingham, Craig Jones, Nikolay Forzilippi, and Oliver Holtzke. Ready to go. Race 2 of the night. Once again, 25 minutes. We can expect roughly about 14 laps of racing. Vongin on the pole, Stuhlinger to the outside. We are racing in race number 2, and it's a great start from the second row as down to the inside goes Mokes, already 3 wide. Drivers starting to spread themselves out towards the back. 3 wide moment as they go into the 1. Porter trying to make the outside line work, but at the front, what a start from Vongin. They're already pulling away. 1 driver around in the background, that's Polyakov. Still 2 wide for P2, as on the inside, Scott Mokes trying to get around Daniel Porter. He'll do exactly that as he goes up into P2, as drivers still starting to spread out. And take a look at the Fox Gaming drivers splitting Luke McCowan down the middle.
Yeah, definitely great start there from Wangan, taking full advantage of having the 2 amateur drivers behind him to try and get that little gap. But a great start there from Scott Mokes in P2. Or getting up to P2, up 2 places. So managing to get past the AM drivers. So the 2 pro drivers at the front, Wangan and Mokes, are in front. But then we've got the Porter and Stuttlanger, who's normally a mid to back lane field, which will be holding up the pro drivers behind him. And it's just the patience that the pro drivers need to have to try and circumnavigate him and make sure it's nice and smooth. But as we can see here now, the pros all just lining up, getting 2 abreast into turn number 9 on this first lap. Luckily keeping it nice and clean, and at the moment I don't believe we've lost anybody out of the top one that's dropped down, so managing to keep it clean at the moment on this first lap.
You can see the onboard McCowan not giving Gotterstad an inch as they race down the back straightaway. They'll go into turn 11. Still side by side, McCowan with the nose in front. Gotterstad gonna get that advantage back. Hard on the brakes, trying not to run into Lewis Ward, but down the inside and able to cover off the spot. Luke McCowan gets in front of Jovagard Gotterstad. Now Gotterstad going to get pushed back into his teammate Kim Strom. A little bit of contact. They bang, and they're going to bang into Lewis Ward, who's going to get turned around on the front straightaway. Able to save it before hitting the pit wall, but Ward going to fall down into P19, now P20. And that is the classic bowling alley effect there, the accordion effect, if you will, Andy. Down there in turn 14, one tap to the back bumper of McCowan, leads right into Ward. Ward, unfortunately, couldn't handle it.
Yeah, definitely. And we look at where Albert is at the moment. He's in P14, but this is his usual tactic whenever he's come on the stream to let us know. He always takes the first couple of laps easy so he doesn't have any damage to his car and then really pushes off. Oh, as we see a big spin there coming out of turn number 4. Going on to the long straight, that was Ross Dunstane getting all bent out of shape there, coming back on track down in 27th position. But yeah, so we should start seeing Albert now moving up. But Luke McCowan's made a great start from obviously P15th on the grid, getting up 6 places to P9th, so just behind Roger Christensen in 8th place. But at the moment, Scott Mokes has managed to get up to the back of Thomas Wangan and Brandon Porter along with him for the ride. So the amateur driver in 3, as we saw in race 1, was very quick, but made some self-imposed errors onto the track which put him down the field. So he just needs to keep it clean and consistent on this start of these opening laps on race number 2. As we watch here, Max Kessler there just getting past Lunger. Oh, sorry, past Christensen for 7th place. So 3 wide coming down here into turn number 11. Oh, as we say, big hit. No, it did not. And unfortunately, Roger's come off worse, and Max Kessler managed to spin out. But Max is in the envious position of facing back up the track, so got to wait for a position to be able to get out on track. So that really hurt both them drivers down to P24 and Max Kessler down to P28.
Martin Spotlight goes around as well, I believe, on turn 14. Yes, it is. And that was the aggressive move from Luke McCowan down the inside, trying to go 3 wide in that 122. It did not work. It worked out in favor of Luke McCowan, I'll be honest. Up into P7 goes McCowan, but did not work out for Max Kessler or anybody else involved in that incident. Roger Christensen now forced down into P23. Similar position to where he was in race number 1. We saw him climb pretty far back up the order through that race. We'll see how he does here. Bo Albert, a bit of a slow start, to be honest here, Andy. He was in P15 for a good amount of time. Started back here around the P14, P13 mark, up 3 spots from where he started the night. So good start for Bo Albert right now, but just needs to get a little bit further up. We know he can. We saw him race all the way up through the field at Road Atlanta, but here at Motegi, we're really seeing passing not really be a premium. We sort of talk about passing being a premium with these Porsches. Becomes pretty difficult to pass, especially at some of the smaller tracks we go to. But it seems like just about anywhere you can make a pass. As a diving one to the inside, Joe Montes tried to cover it off, couldn't do it in time. Door slam sends the 172 into the sand.
Yeah, definitely a poor little move coming up there from Germantas, and unfortunately coming off the worst there, coming down into turn number 5 and tumbling down the order now into P22, and he'll have Oberman right behind him. I'll pass him as well, but his car looks a little bit twitchy, so he might have some damage. Looks like it's crabbing a little bit. Yeah, it certainly is. So he'll certainly be going into that pit stop to make full advantage of that fast repair. As we see a car there on the left-hand side going off into turn number 11. But where you were talking about Bo Albert, I just think he's got a really sound head on his shoulders. You know, he understands that it's a 25-minute race, this, and he understands that a lot of incidents happen in the first couple of laps, so he takes it nice and smooth, and then we see him really push on like we did in Road America. So I'd expect him to start moving up, but exactly like you said, this track isn't one for really overtaking and passing the cars like Road America is, so you might find it a little bit difficult. But what is helping him out at the moment is the cars in front of him seem to just be going off and giving him places for free.
Bonnigan at the front. What a race so far. Of course, started on the pole with the invert, so was able to stay there, sort of command the race from the front, but still a great run from the, I would say, one of the Fox Gaming drivers that we haven't really seen much from so far this season. Of course, 5th in the points, been consistent. hasn't gotten a podium yet this season. Still looking for that, as look at the dive to the inside for Daniel Porter. Able to basically create a space down the inside line, but that's going to quickly turn to outside as they race into turn 10, the hairpin. Mokes with the inside advantage. Porter sits on the outside, side by side, and barely able to get that spot is Mokes. Porter going to stay in P3. Look at the defense coming out from Scott Mokes. Porter going to have to step out to the outside. Side by side into the corner. Porter able to hold his owner on the outside, just not able to complete that pass. Remember, Porter this season, another one of those drivers we haven't seen much from. They're still sparring as they go through turn 14, and Mokes is able to get on by. 6th place in the pro points currently for Scott Mokes. Daniel Porter, an AM driver, 3rd in the AM championship, holding his own with the pros, as here comes James Parker to join the fray.
Yeah, definitely. I think Porter got his hammer and chisel out there just to try and get some space for himself over Mokes. But Mokes, you know, giving back is just as good, and it was a fantastic couple of corners that we just watched them two side by side. I thought they might have come to blows, but kept it really clean through there. So a big shout out to them guys for nice clean racing to the end of that last lap on lap 4 between Mokes and Porter. But Porter at the moment doing a great job, 3rd place, top of the AMs, and the nearest AM closest to him is Martin, who currently down in P9. So quite a few positions between him and Martin, who at the moment, and all he needs to do is keep it nice and clean. But he's certainly not being one for just backing out. He's any opportunity that he can give, he'll take it off you if he's going to get, if he gives you the opportunity. But one person is a real big change of fortune is Roger Christensen. If we remember back to the start of the season, Josh, you know, he was up the front constantly hounding Bo Albert for the race wins, and the last couple of rounds he's been really struggling, and obviously you've seen in this round 2 big incidents that's put him down to the back of the field and having to try and fight his way back up. So, you know, going to be losing some vital points in the championship over Bo, but also to the guys behind him. So having a bit of a difficult time as Roger Christensen currently in P16, but we're on board at the moment with Luke McCowan, just putting a little bit of pressure on James Parker in front of him. So he's made up some massive places at the moment, managing to take the P3. It'll be interesting to see if he can keep it. Yeah, Parker just backs out and just lets him through. Obviously knows that Luke is a very quick driver, but Luke managing to carve his way through this field. So it's the first time we've seen this from Luke on the reverse grid on race number 2. So doing a fantastic job at the moment and up to P4 and bearing down on Daniel Porter in front of him.
Staying on the topic of Roger Christensen, because I do like that you mentioned that, you know, up at the beginning of this season, he was pretty much pounding on Bo Albert's door. He hasn't been on the podium since round number 4 of the season, where he finished P3. He's only been on the podium twice. The first one was in round number 1. It was 2nd place, as we see Starzinski go head-to-head with Ward trying to go around the outside of Starzinski, and exactly what Ward is going to do. But still no success at the front of at the top of the podium for Roger Christensen yet this season. So we have a heads-up battle for the top spot, side by side. Thomas Vongen inside, Scott Mokes on the outside. It's Fox Gaming versus Team Mokes as they go side by side. Why not add a 3rd car into the mix? Daniel Porter is up in trying to fight for the top spot. Why not add a 4th one as well? There's Luke McCowan joining the fray in P4. Why not add 5, 6, 7, 8 cars, all separated by just about 2.5 seconds on the racetrack. We have a ton of battles up here at the front as Luke McCowan tries to go for P3.
Just getting doing a Daniel Porter trick and just getting his hammer and chisel out and making that little bit of gap there coming into turn number 10 and just pushing Porter out a little bit and managing to get that place. So a great move there from Luke McCowan up into P3 now, and we'll be battling out for this first place. But good to see Scott Mokes up there as well. He's had some terrible luck in the previous round, so good to see him at the front of the field. We know he's a very quick driver, and so he is certainly trying to battle it out in this race number 2 for that race win. But at the moment we got Wangan, Mokes, McCowan, the top of the AM, Daniel Porter in 4th, and Parker is your top 5. All so close together. It's too close to call at the moment of who's going to come out on top of this. There's about 8 cars there, as we see on stream, that are in an opportunity to take this race to win. So it's going to be a great last end to this race in race number 2.
already going to be nearing about halfway done, and halfway over, but also halfway to go, and we have a ton of battles starting to develop here at the front. I mean, take a look, battle for the lead, coming back, Mokes on the brakes to the inside, and is gonna have to lock him up. Not gonna be able to make that move done. He barely covers off the spot on Luke McCowan. Here comes McCowan, a fight for second. He's gonna look to the outside. Ooh, barely covering up that spot, and again is Mokes. Mokes gonna go to the inside for the lead. Wangan trying to fight him off. Still side by side. Around the outside goes Mokes. And here comes Porter and McCowan to fight for the lead. Mokes on the inside. Wangan on the outside. Mokes is going to take over the lead once again. And you can see all 9 drivers at the front of this field want a piece of the pie at the front. Side by side now. McCowan goes to the outside for second. Daniel Porter sits in fourth. He wants to get into the action as they door slam again for P2. That's Vonnegut on the inside in the Pink Fox Gaming Machine. And that's Luke McCowan trying to make a diving pass for the race lead. But that blue and orange Logitech GLC Esports machine not able to get there. Another door slam for Wangan as he goes wide.
Yeah, I think that Luke Wangan and Scott Mokes were sort of almost thought they were going to hand the lead there over to Luke McCowan, who were battling it that hard. Oh, as we see Thomas Wangan going in wide and getting spun there into turn number 14. So in the south of Mikey Pollard. Oh no, absolute terrible result there for Thomas Wangan, who was doing so well at the front of this race. Obviously, first place on the last one is going to end it all the way down in P13. So we'll have a look back at it. Coming into the corner.
Ooh, oh, contact to Mikey Pollard. That just sort of sent him into the corner, and that sent him to Vonnegut. I believe that was actually Vonneguten's teammate of Kim Strom that made the contact and sent, unfortunately, basically just an innocent bystander there into, or Mikey Pollard into, and Vonnegut goes off track again at turn 2. And he's going to tow it back into the pit lane. That is race over for Fox Gaming's Thomas Vonnegut. Now at the front, Luke McCowan. Logitech GLC Esports machine, the winner of race number 1, trying to go 2 for 2 tonight and grab the win here in race number 2 as we're over halfway done with this race. We're nearing 10 minutes to go. What can Mokes do from P2? What can James Parker do from P3? This is the first time we're seeing Parker up here at the front of the field to try and battle for a race win.
Yeah, definitely. And look who's lurking with all the action at the front of the grid that we've been following. Look who's lurking in P4. Bo Albert, so managing to just sneakily get up the way to the field to the front of the grid, and currently in P4. And as we can see him on screen there, not that far away really from P2. So you know, Bo Albert, as I said, like, just watch out for him just siving through the field, and he's done exactly that and managed to get up to P4. But we watch this big long train for the battle here for P12, I think, or 11, with Pollard, Godestar, Gabriel, Polakov, Roger Christensen currently in P15th at the moment. I mean, he's having an absolute terrible round. I think he's had, like you were saying, from round 4 onwards, it's just not been his luck, and he's unfortunately had lots of incidents.
Getting forced off there was Nicola Forza Lippi, I believe, by Craig Jones. Now Gordon Overman's going to go up the inside in turn 1. Side by side, and right on by goes Overman. Of course, Lippi down into P18 now on the racetrack. Inside 10 minutes left. It'll be 9 minutes here just shortly as Lippi trying to go up the inside. Had to get on the brakes to make the corner. Didn't lock up, fortunately, so the 273 continues on, trying to get around Gordon Oberman. And Roger Christensen trying to fight from P14, and it's not going to be the day that Christensen wanted, and he was forced down the order, admittedly, in race 1 and 2 for issues that, race number 1, a little bit of it was his issue. He locked it up into turn 2, went wide, but then another car wrecking in his path forced him even wider. So we lost a bit more spots there as he tries to get around Cabral here in race 2. Incident that really was out of his control and forced him down the order. So a bad day, but he just hasn't been able to get back up to the front as Cabral locks up on the inside. Christensen goes around for P13. Just unable to bounce back, especially here in race 2, as he's only up to P13 with less than 10 minutes now remaining.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a bit of damage you can see on screen there to his car, so that'll be affecting the slight top speed on it, but certainly struggling in this twin ring Motegi round 6, and I think he needs to find his mojo again. He's sort of lost his confidence, and I think that's just racing in general. If you lose a little bit of confidence, it can really affect the way you're racing, as we saw there. Nikolai Poloskov getting a little bit squirmy coming out of turn 11, coming in there, but managing to keep his position at the moment. But all over the park at the moment, and we've got Jones right behind him, just ready to pounce on any little mistake he makes anymore to take that P15th place. But yeah, Roger Christensen just needs to get his mojo back, and Jova Goddestad is, as you see, big off there by Gordon Oberman, coming into turn number 2, that is. Out of there, but oh no, well, we called 273, think he might be calling it a day there. Yep, and goes straight back to the pit. So had a few retirees coming into the pits into this race number 2, Josh.
Definitely catching a lot of drivers off guard, and I do think that is just the uniqueness of this course. Looking at it from the outside, it's like a normal road course that you would race on, but the uniqueness of this circuit really shines once you get on the racetrack. And this course also known for being relatively low in grip, so the little bit cooler temperatures definitely helping a little bit as they race on through race number 2. Now inside, 7 minutes left, 6.5 minutes right about now to be exact. As we take a look, battle for P9, Marcel Fritsch leads this group. Mikey Pollard, Jovigard Goderstad, Adam Starzinski from 9th down to P12 as they all fight here in this battle. Back into turn number 11 for Fritsch. Gonna hold on. We can see a lot of rubber getting laid down on the circuit now. Definitely gonna start to get a little bit greasy there as the battle up at the front continues. Bo Albert to the inside for P3 on James Parker. He does just that. Now going to try and get around Scott Mokes. Can he do 2 for 1? No, he can't. Going to be settling for P3 for the moment. Going to try and get up to P2, and this will continue the stretch of podium finishes for Bo Albert, as not finished off of the podium this season. Worst finish of 3rd. Came at round 2 and round 5, and up into P2 goes Bo Albert. What a drive for the Altus man.
I wonder if Scott Mokes actually just moved over there knowing that who was right behind him, just let him through. But what he might do now is let Parker through as Parker tries to get up onto his inside. So Scott Mokes there demoted down into 3rd place, and Albert and Luke McCowan take their usual spots in 1 and 2, just like race number 1. So great moving up through the field. We saw Luke do it very early on, and then we've seen Bo Albert do it very methodically, you know, taking his time in the first couple of laps, obviously backing his experience. Oh, we see a big there between James Parker and Scott Mokes, and Scott Mokes has a terrible luck as he does in most rounds and gets taken off of P3 and managing to come back on the track into P7.
Man, that terrible luck continuing, and that's so disheartening to see. Mokes was having definitely a season race here, and falls now down the order into P7 as Parker goes to P8. We take a look at the battle for P9. Mikey Pollard going straight up with Jovigard Goderstad. Goderstad takes a peek to the outside. It'll be outside for Goderstad here in turn 11, but he gets it done before they even commit to the corner. Put Goderstad further up into the top 10 now in P9. About 3 to go, about 2 minutes left, or 4 minutes left, excuse me. McCowan sits at the front, Bo Albert in P2, and McCowan up into the lead, also from that inverse grid of P15, because he won race number 1. What a race for Luke McCowan at the front of the field right now. Logitech GLC Sports teammate Bo Albert sits in 2nd place. Thiago Martel finding himself back up in P3. What a day for the AM driver. Daniel Porter staying up front after that inverse. A great run for him as well. He's looking at a consistently 4th place overall finish here in race number 2. Things calming down now as we see a battle between Kim Strom and Lewis Ward. Battle for 5th on the racetrack for overall positions.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about Martinu. He didn't seem like he was in the fray, but obviously with the incidents we saw with Mokes and Parker there, it just promoted himself and Daniel Porter, who were having pretty quiet races. We haven't really talked about them. You know, promoting them up to third and fourth. So great showing there from the two amateur drivers currently sat in third and fourth place. But certainly this battle for fifth place is heating up between Strom and Ward. We saw Strom having a really strong outing in race number one, getting that third place and holding off Martinu and the cars and Ward behind him. Actually, he was in that race, so it's like a deja vu for Strom, seeing Ward just behind him here in race two. But it'd be interesting to see if he can hold him off in this second race. But he does have Porter, who's just in front of him, and Martinu. So these four cars that are in front, what we're watching on screen now, are all the ones that were in the mix for the third place in race number one. So it'll be interesting to see how this one comes off. But at the moment, Martinu's got a bit of a sizable lead over Daniel Porter. Daniel Porter's got a slight lead here over Kim Strom in fifth place. So Kim's got a little bit of making up to do to try and get onto the back of Porter. So the AM drivers in the front doing, you know, really respectful times considering with the pro drivers around them and keeping up with the pace at the moment. So great outing for them guys in race number two. It's always nice to see amateur drivers certainly mixing it with the pro drivers at the front.
Inside 2 minutes left, it'll be white flag this time by for race leader Luke McCowan. McCowan looking for yet another win on the season for the Logitech GLTC Sports machine. Sits fourth currently in the pro class standings. Got the win back at round number 2 in the feature race. Also had pole position there, qualified in P number 1 for the sprint race there as well. Second place at round number 3 and is looking to get back on the podium. This will be his third podium of the season. Bo Albert looking for podium number 6. And if that sounds familiar, there is also the round number. Yes, Bo Albert will be having a podium in every single race and be keeping that streak alive and keeping his spot at the front of the field in terms of points for the Pro Class Points Championship. At the line this time, working his way through the final couple of corners, it's Luke McCowan for Logitech G-Altus Esports. He takes the white flag here in race number 2 from Virtual Motegi. Looking to put a capitalization on the day. Race number 1 and race number 2 victory, fighting from P15, his starting spot after the top 15 invert for race number 2. This is going to be a monumental day for Luke McCowan, really showing some amazing speed here when we thought it was going to be a Bo Albert show, admittedly, Andy.
Yeah, definitely. And currently 4.2 seconds ahead of Bo Albert in second place. So just showing how much he obviously really enjoys this track. And Bo, as we know, is no slouch by any stretch of the imagination, but really being outshined here by Luke McCowan. And it would have been really interesting because Luke's missed a couple of rounds and had some absolutely terrible reverse races. If he had managed to keep the form, it may have been a straight Logitech G-Altus Esport for the championship at the moment. But you know what this will do for Luke McCowan will move him up again into the pro championships, because his nearest contender within the championship in front of him, Roger Christensen, is having an absolute stinker of a round at the moment. Currently still sat in P13 and not really making any inroads past the amateur drivers in front of him. So must have some real damage on that car, or he's just really struggling on this track. You know, all these drivers are not going to be absolutely brilliant at every single track, and this may be one of his bogey tracks, but I believe his drop round score already is not the best to have, so he really needs to make sure he gets some points out. So we'll be losing vital points in the championship, and Luke McCowan will be certainly profiting, looking at the moment like 2 race victories.
Take a look at the battle. Kim Strom goes to the outside of Porter, but across the line as they continue to go side by side through turn 11, a little bit of contact. Luke McCowan takes the checkered flag, and Logitech G-Altus Esports stays at the top of the podium, and Bo Albert continues his streak. 6 podium finishes in a row, and Thiago Martão take a bow, top of the AM class, and a fantastic run in P3. Battle between Damian Harris and Max Kessler, and off track goes Harris. And right on by, off track goes Martin Spalek as well. That's who he was in the battle with. And Oliver Holtzke is going to go right on by both of them for P17. Spalek and Harris going to end up 18th and 19th at the line.
That was a present all wrapped up there for Holtzke, getting 2 places on the last couple of corners coming into the last lap. So certainly all his Christmas and birthdays came at once there, gaining 2 places on the last couple of corners. But, you know, these guys fighting it right to the end of the race. And as we saw there, you know, positions are to be made at any time during this track, even on the last couple of corners. But can't take it away from this guy, Luke McCowan, you know, winner in race number 1, winner in race number 2, and literally just drove away from the field. Obviously, we saw Bo Albert maybe giving the position up, and obviously probably knowing that Luke, this was probably one of his stronger tracks, and he was faster than him. But, you know, you can't take it away from what he's done here tonight, and has done his points in the championship a world of good, and I'm pretty sure that he'll be moving up quite close to second place now.
What a day for Luke McCowan. He takes the win in race number 1 and race number 2 tonight here from Virtual Twin Ring Motegi. It's Bo Albert who finishes in second place. Kim Strom finishes P3. Thiago Martão at the line finishes P4. Looks like a bit of a time penalty for Martão there. Strom able to get back up into P3. Lewis Ward will finish P5 with... that is the results from race number 1. There is the race number 2 results. Thank you, Samuli Kumo. Thiago Martão does indeed finish in P3. Daniel Porter finishes P4 with Kim Strom rounding out the top 5. Lewis Ward, Scott Mopes, Gilles Gotterstad, James Parker, and Mikey Pollard, the top 10. Marcel Fritsch with Adam Starzinski, Roger Christiansen, Nikolay Poyakov, and Craig Jones, the top 15. Max Kessler, Oliver Holtzke, Martin Spalek, top 18. Down from there, P19, it is Damian Harris with Gordon Oberman, the top 20. Aerodistro Montes, P21, Kevin Stringer, P22, Austin Neal, Henning Stullinger, and Ross Dunstan, the top 25. Cesar Cabral, Nicola Forza Lippi, Thomas Vongen, Tom Bingham, and Dave Chadwick round out the 30 drivers who took the green flag here in the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup here from Virtual Twin Ring Motegi. And Andy, we're still seeing Logitech GLTC Esports be so dominant. Today was definitely not the day for Fox Gaming.
No, definitely not. I mean, it's great for them got the Logitech GLTC Esports getting first and second in race 1 and 2, and Fox Gaming sort of going off the cliff really in that round. I mean, in the top one in that second race was 5th place of Kim Strom. So losing some vital points there, and I think that's just exactly what the Logitech GLTC Esports guys could have wished for. They got 1 and 2 in race 1 and 2, and their nearest rivals in the team championship, Fox Gaming, having a pretty terrible day at the race, and yeah, it's going to claw back some vital points for them. But you know, Luke McCowan, great race from him, over it from start to finish like he owned the track, and it showed out on the stream.
And of course, throughout this race, we saw a lot of challenges, and mainly the drivers who were overcoming those challenges, I think, were a bit surprising to us. I mean, Lewis Ward finishes P6. We've seen him be consistent, but definitely his most consistent finish of the season. Scott Mokes running up in the front, battling for the lead at one point. Great to see speed from him. James Parker was up at the front. He ended up finishing P9 after a bit of incidents through the latter half of race number 2, but still a consistent day. And I think we saw with the challenges that this track provides, we saw a lot of drivers who we haven't seen really run up front. Even with the invert, we haven't seen drivers run up front that were running up front here in race 2.
Yeah, definitely. You know, this track has been a leveler really from the pros and the AMs. We saw a lot of mistakes from the pro drivers pushing it a little bit too far, and this track will bite back if you actually get it into the wrong positions into the track, as we saw with Roger Christensen had that absolute howler of race 1, and then he did it again in race 2. So it was sort of very much an equalizer, and a lot of the amateur drivers are just driving this car conservatively but within their means, and profiting quite a lot from the mistakes of the cars that are around him. So as we saw there, you know, Martinu, who's a very quick driver, and we normally see him at the front, but Daniel Porter, you know, in an exceptional round for him, round 4, he was only 7 points off the second place in the championship, so that will rocket him into second place, and you know, won't gain any points on Martinu, but will sort of secure his second place within that amateur championship. So a great day and a great outing for Daniel Porter, as we see a lot going down the field. A lot more of the amateurs are getting in front of the pro drivers on this round, so it was certainly an equaliser.
We do have a bit of interviews here in the post-race show, and we begin with the driver we have spoken to, I believe, in every single round, maybe except for one. It is Bo Albert, second place finish for you here at Twin Ring Motegi. Bo, it definitely did not look like it was without challenge. It was a bit of a challenging race for you. We'll talk about race number 1 first. You, of course, had that overtake with your teammate Luke McGowan and settled into P2. Was the car feeling right around Twin Ring Motegi, or did you have to have a bit of an uphill battle with the car this week?
Oh, I forgot I'm on push to talk. How good. So it was a bit of an uphill battle. The car is very, very sketchy around here, and how you have to set it up to go fast is very loose, very slidey. So we're trying to stay on top of that a bit. So especially in the early laps, I was definitely tiptoeing a little bit, just taking it nice and easy. But yeah, in regards to Luke, obviously I'm feeling fairly confident at the top of the standings right now. I've got a decent buffer, and I know I don't have to do anything too impressive to sort of close this one out, whereas Luke is in quite a big championship battle at the moment. So it was a team order, but it was decided by us together, so it wasn't necessarily like you know, anyone telling us to do anything. We just decided amongst ourselves. Luke needed the points a bit more than I did, and at the same time, he maybe had slightly better race pace as well. So for us, in terms of that move, bit of a no-brainer.
And going into race number 2, of course, you had that invert, and you had a little bit of a slower start than I think what we saw from you in the invert a couple of rounds ago at Road Atlanta. But with that invert, sat you down in, I believe, P14 you started, and then climbed yourself back up into P2. But it took a while to get there. Were you struggling with the traffic, or were you trying to take it a little bit slower and not really try and gain so many positions so quickly to try and avoid getting caught up in an incident?
It was a little bit of both. I mean, at the same time, like, it's a top 15 invert, so we started 15th, but I didn't feel like that was enough of an invert, so my clutch pedal decided I should do a burnout off of the start line, and I think I turned it into a top 20 invert. Absolutely garbage launch off the line. And then from there, like, again, I know I don't have to do anything too crazy to win the championship, so I just wanted to take it a bit easy. Didn't want to go for any 50% moves. I wanted to go for moves that were a bit more clear-cut, a bit safe. And also, there's a lot of carnage going on in that mid-pack. It was wild, to say the least, definitely untamed. So I was just sort of trying to stay out of trouble. One car did spin just in the final few corners under the bridge, and almost clipped me and sent me into a rollover. I was very lucky to get away with that. So I think after that especially, I took things a bit easier and just tried to sort of bring the car home. And the fact we got into a first and second in the feature is a bit of a miracle, to be honest.
Well, now 2 rounds remain on the season, and we go to Mount Panorama, otherwise known as Bathurst, in 1 week's time. I'm assuming the confidence level is going to be high. It's been high for you this entire season, but going to a track that is pretty tough, especially that mountain section, do you think you can walk away with another consistent finish?
I hope so. Bathurst has always been a bit of a bogey track for me in many senses. It's not very strong for me, so which as an Australian is absolutely criminal. But yeah, no, like, I think for me, it's just going to be try and bank points and see what we can do there, which I know isn't the answer you guys want. I know you want me to go for some crazy moves, try and, you know, sell some fireworks, but, you know, until I can sort of get that points lead beyond reach of anyone else, I want to sort of play it a bit safe and go from there. But absolutely, it's a very tricky track. You can be lapping all by yourself with no cars within 30 seconds of you and still make a mistake. It is one of those tracks that you need 100% focus every single lap or it will bite, and when it does bite, it usually bites pretty hard.
Well, we'll be looking forward to seeing you go for some safe moves at Mount Panorama. Bo, thank you for joining us here in the post-race show, and congratulations on your second place finish here from Virtual Motegi.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Thanks for another great broadcast.
Good to hear from Bo Albert once again. Second place finish for him, and we transition over to Andy Thompson. He's standing by with P23 finisher Austin Neal.
Hi Austin, welcome to the commentary box. So, you know, you're a newcomer to the league. I just want to get your take on how you found being in this league for the first time, and you know, what are the big things that have come across from you from driving in this league.
It's been super fun. I guess I found the league kind of. I've been watching on YouTube for the past couple months. Upgraded my sim to a DD2, got some nice pedals and stuff. So wanted to see like where I compared to, because I mean I've been playing sim games all my life, but never tried competitively. And I mean so far, yeah, these guys, they're quick, dude. They're very, very quick, very organized. I messed up in the first turn. I don't really know this track at all. This is my first time racing it, but and the grass caught me in the first turn and got locked up. But so far the first race was good. I raced pretty clean, battled somewhat, and but overall the experience has been super fun, man. And I couldn't make last week's race, but this was a fun race. I like the sections in this track, the chicanes, and had some good challenges to it. I've been enjoying it for sure.
So being obviously, and you've taken that plunge now to go into the league racing side of it, I mean, do you find that your driving styles for being in the league racing is actually starting to improve, and you're starting to feel yourself a little bit more confident?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've been taking more caution to how smooth and my inputs are, and just being more relaxed and seeing how I am under pressure and seeing what I can learn from them being so quick and how they make their moves. And it's a different racket for sure. You know, because you leave that space, they're gonna take it, and there's not much you can do. And but yeah, it's been a huge learning curve. My pace has definitely gotten a lot better. I mean, honestly, when I first started, I was like 4 seconds slower than these guys. Now I'm getting closer to the 2s. So it's definitely progressing. And yeah, it's been fun for sure.
No, I mean, it's great to hear that you're enjoying yourself, and you're obviously getting something out of it. You weren't expecting big things in this championship, you know, coming into the league fresh off it, coming in, obviously getting a new wheel and new pedals and learning them. But, you know, it'll put you in good stead for the future races if we see you here on ARL. Before we let you go, Austin, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
I guess shout out to my boy Philip, and he helped me set up everything the way it is, and it's been so perfect now. He's been helping me work at it, kind of tune in all the settings and fixing my FOV and everything. So it's really dialed in now. I feel like super connected to the car, and I appreciate his help, and yeah, thanks to my parents and everything for helping me out.
No, it's great, and it's great to have new faces into the commentary box. So good luck for the last 2 rounds of the season, and hope your improvement keeps on going. So thanks for joining, Austin.
Yeah, thank you. I think Bathurst will be my strong course. I know it pretty well, so we'll see.
Good luck out for you then, mate. Okay, thank you very much.
Bye.
Okay, there was Austin there, finishing 23rd, a newcomer to the league. And it's always nice to see, Josh, newcomers in, fresh blood into the league. You know, they're going to struggle at the start because, you know, coming from the normal iRacing series and then coming into this league racing is a completely different ball game, you know. But what it does do is it promotes better racecraft, and it shows you how racing can be when you come up against guys that you want to race against. So really good to have newcomers into the league as well.
hoping to see some exponential growth from Austin Neal in the future. And that is going to do it for our coverage here from Virtual Twin Ring Motegi. Remember, 1 week's time, same place here on Apex Racing TV. Round 7 of the championship from Virtual Bathurst. You can catch that all right here on Apex Racing TV. So hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell to be notified whenever we go live for another broadcast here on Apex Racing TV. Make sure to also follow us on social media at Apex Racing TV, wherever you can find us. For Samuli Kumo in the virtual production trailer, for Andy Thompson in the commentary booth with myself, Joshua Lee, thank you for tuning in to round number 6 of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship, and we'll see you in 1 week's time from Virtual Bathurst as the campaign continues.